This is the Sports Psychology Podcast with Michael Seeley for Wednesday, July 6, 2022, Stage 5 of the Tour de France, doing a day-by-day psychological analysis, mental aspects of the Tour de France. Today, Stage 5, 157 kilometers from Lille to Aremberg-Port-d'Arnaud in France, 11 sections of cobblestones, about 20 kilometers of cobblestones. These are the types of cobblestones you generally do not see in a stage race. These are typically reserved for classics races like Paris-Roubaix. But today they were on the course and it was expected to be chaotic today. So today I'm going to be looking at three aspects. I've talked about this before. The first aspect is how to prepare yourself mentally for a dangerous race course when you have no choice but to race. Talk about that. I'll talk about the mentality of a successful breakaway, a multi-person breakaway that happened today. And then I'll finish up by talking about the art of the bike throw. So today came down to a bike throw photo finish. So let's start with basically just some highlights. Wout van Aert crashed today. Fortunately, not too bad. There's a lot of people who crashed today, unfortunately. The big crash was with Primož Roglič of the Jumbo team, teammate of Wout van Aert. Crashed very hard, actually dislocated his shoulder. Was amazingly able to get up and ride again and finish the race, but we'll see what happens for tomorrow. Hopefully he's not out of the Tour de France. Geraint Thomas of the Ineos team also crashed. You had Adam Yates of the Ineos team, teammate of Geraint Thomas, say, quote here, "The cobbles are not the hard part. It's before and after." What he means by that is there's a fight for position to get onto these 11 sections of cobbles. It's pretty chaotic because the road narrows down to this very narrow farming road lane. So you have people really being cutthroat, chopping each other, trying to fight for position. So the first thing I'm talking about today is the mentality of a sort of very challenging, dangerous race course. I will say there is one option here. What happened last year in the Tour de France was all the riders were protesting the dangerous courses, and they actually stopped in the middle of one of the stages. I don't recall what stage, but that did happen. So I'm putting that out there. Obviously, I've expressed my opinion on the Tour de France organizers erring on the side of more sort of spectacular race courses to the detriment and safety of the riders. I don't believe cobbled sections like these fit in the Tour de France. But anyway, the mentality you have to have if you have to do these kinds of races is having the team get together the night before and getting really psyched up together and fully committing to it and talking about your fears and really just getting it all out there, and really being obsessive about the course, studying the course, every section of cobbles, just getting really, really into it, fully committing to the fact that you're going to do something dangerous and just really embrace it. Just dive into it like, let's go, bring it on, let's go. That is a mindset almost that you have to have. You can be a little more conservative, but when you have these chaotic sections of cobbles, you really got to be up front. You can kind of play it more conservative and safe, but what typically happens is you'll get caught behind a crash and you'll lose a bunch of time. So that's just kind of the reality. You have to be really upfront, however you can do that. So, and like I said, that involves really the team being on the same page. It takes a really good team leader. It takes a great director sportif to get everyone's mentality dialed in. And you also got to be ready for the unexpected. You could crash. You could have a teammate crash. You could get a mechanical. All of these things are possible. There's a big luck factor in here, unfortunately. And when something bad does happen to, say, one of your teammates or you in one of these dangerous, chaotic races, is that you can't panic. You gotta figure it out. You gotta get back on the bike. You gotta figure it out. So being resilient to the unexpected is also part of that mindset. Okay, so I want to talk about also the art and the mindset of a really well-working breakaway. So today what happened, so basically the winner today was Simon Clark. He won in a bike throw. I'll get to that in a minute. But there was an early breakaway. It included Simon Clark. Also included mountain leader Magnus Kort. They got some time on the pack. There was a 5-man breakaway total. And this is a really good number. Actually, 7 to 10 is an even better number for enough horsepower in a breakaway. And these guys worked really well together, and it's wonderful to see that. And they were very smart because on a chaotic race course like this today, being in a small group is preferable because there isn't that chaos coming onto these 11 sections of cobbles. These guys can just charge right through. If they're working together, they're going to be working almost as fast as the peloton behind them. So the mindset there really is that when you find yourself in a breakaway that is potentially successful, so it has to have all the good elements. It has to have sort of a mix of teams, so the teams are invested in that breakaway. You're not going to get chased down. You also have to have some strong riders in there, of course. So the more you race, the more you're able to sort of assess really quickly when you get in one of these breakaways if it's going to be successful. And if it's all green lights, it all looks good, then you commit to it. And hopefully everyone else does as well. And when everyone commits and works well together, it's just a wonderful sight to see. They're able to hold off the peloton, and it comes down to the final sprint. And it's pretty exciting. So really, I think the mindset you have to have is to be able to assess quickly. It's almost an intuitive sense. Is this breakaway going to work? You look around really quickly and you say, yes, let's go for it. Or you say, it looks kind of iffy. Here's some guys who aren't working in here, and you got to assess that quickly because you could have a plan B, save a little bit of gas in the tank for if you get caught. But if it looks great, then you go for it and you fully commit to it. All right, so the final thing I'm going to talk about is the art of the bike throw. So you had Simon Clark winning against Van der Horn. There's a 5-man breakaway. These two guys were basically neck and neck. And Simon Clark threw his bike really hard at the last second. Didn't even look like he was going to win it, but he did. So the mindset here of a sprinter is never giving up until the very, very, very end with like the final meters. You can still win it. You can come around, you can throw your bike, and that's the mindset that you need. Don't assume that someone's going to win. Try as hard as you can to the very last meter, and work on perfecting your bike throw. It is a skill, so every sprinter needs to have that in their tool belt. Okay, that is today's coverage, talking about, again, the mindset of dangerous race courses, how to deal with that as best you can, the art and mindset of a successful breakaway, and that magic bike throw. Thanks for listening.